Vegetarian for Life. We are a charity that supports, we say, older vegetarians and vegans, but that's really anyone over the age of 50, so not that old at all. What we do, we offer financial support, grants and advice. We have lots of different services. We have lots of different publications, which you can download for free as a PDF, or we offer paper ones as well. Things like Take 5, which has got lots of recipes with just 5 ingredients. So super simple if you're looking to reduce meat or increase your repertoire as a vegetarian or vegan. We have things like a vegan baking guide, which I'm going to be making something from today, and loads of different sort of seasonal publications, like Christmas vegan and Christmas vegetarian and Easter ideas. Today I'm going to make a Victoria sponge cake, which is going to be entirely vegan, so no eggs, no butter, and then I'll see how we go. I might make some other things as well. First of all, I'm going to introduce you to some ingredients. So I've got some almond milk. So there's loads of different plant-based milks these days. Almond, hemp, oat milk. Particularly like almond milk, it's got a bit more protein in there. Lots of them are fortified with various vitamins, B12 and things like that. So that's always good. And those are certain things, if you're going vegan, that you might be lacking slightly, B12, vitamin D, but they're so easy to supplement with. I'm also going to be using chickpeas today. So I'm going to be using the juice from a can of chickpeas in my cake, which is quite unusual, but it's become a real sort of important ingredient in vegan baking. It's called aquafaba, and it's literally just the liquid from chickpeas. So if you soak chickpeas, it's the same liquid, or if you buy a can, it's the liquid in that. And it's a real wonder ingredient. You can make all sorts of things from it. You can make meringues, and basically wherever you use egg white in a recipe, you can just use this. It's incredible. So I should probably get started. So like I said, my name is Ollie. I'm a roving chef for Vegetarian for Life, or V for Life, we call ourselves now, which means I go around and give demos either in person, or we've moved on to sort of virtual classes like this recently over the last year. So I can come and give a course or a class at your organization. And a lot of what we do is free because we are a charity. We do ask for donations sometimes, but it's not obligatory. And we have chefs all over the country. I'm in the south, but we have one based in the north, in Scotland, and in the Midlands as well. So first off, I've got 330 millilitres of almond milk. And then to this, I'm going to add a bit of apple cider vinegar. So this might sound a bit strange as well, but this is going to add aeration to the cake. So because we're not using eggs, we need to get that kind of air in the bake. So I'm just going to pop that in the milk, and that's going to curdle slightly. And then the next thing I'm going to do, so I've literally just poured the water from my chickpeas into here, and I'm just going to whip this up. So you'll see how it works. I'm not going to, if I whip it for a long time, it's going to go into stiff peaks. But I just want a bit of air in there. So apologies for the noise. So it's going to go super foamy. And don't worry, you don't really taste the chickpea at all. It really just sort of blends into the cake. There's obviously going to be a lot of sugar in this cake, so you never really taste a chickpea flavour. It's an incredible thing. I don't know who invented it, who discovered it, but it must have similar properties to egg white, and it really lends itself to vegan baking So you can see that's already gone quite foamy, a bit like if you were whipping egg white. I'm just going to put a bit more air in there. And like I said, if you kept going with that, you could create stiff peaks, you can make meringues, and everything else you would make with egg white in baking. You can make mayonnaise with it as well. I've actually got some in the fridge, some mayonnaise, which I might be using later. So there we go. Have a look at that. You can see, hopefully, it's got nice and white and foamy, and it's got lots of air in there. So I'm just going to put that to the side. And then in this mixing bowl, I've got 8 large tablespoons of vegan butter. So there's loads of vegan butters out there as well now. I'm using this one from Flora, but there's loads of different brands doing it. You could even use coconut butter as well if you want. That's got similar properties to dairy butter, so it's also really good to use in vegan baking. So to this, I'm just going to add some caster sugar. And I'm going to add 1.5 cups to this. So lots of sugar. Just going to start mixing my butter. It's been left out at room temperature for a couple of hours. So it's nice and soft. Don't want to use it straight from the fridge, as it'll be a bit too hard to use. Although if you've got one of those excellent kitchen industrial whisks, then it's super easy to use. So just add a bit of sugar to start with, and I'm going to just beat this together with my hand whisk. So it all comes together and gets like a little bit light and fluffy. So hopefully this will show you how easy it is to make things without eggs and butter. Veganism has become super popular over the last few years. So it's not hard to find specific products, although most things I'm using today, nothing kind of unusual, nothing kind of hard to find in a shop or a supermarket. There we go. So that's becoming nice and combined and fluffy. Just going to add a bit more sugar. So about another 1/2 cup. If you don't use cups, so I'm using about 335 grams of sugar. Just tend to use cups when giving demos and things because it's just a bit easier. So just mix that sugar in, and then I'm going to add a couple of teaspoons of vanilla extract. So just add a nice bit of flavour. Just incorporate all that. And we're going to add a touch of salt as well. I like to use sea salt. I think it's a little bit better for you. Although in a cake, it doesn't really matter too much. So just a pinch of salt. And you can see it's all nice and light and fluffy. We're going to go in with our milk mixture next. If there's any questions, then You can just pop them in the chat box, and I can have a look while I'm going along. So that's all combined, nice and fluffy. And I'm just going to add in my milk with the cider vinegar and just bring that together. You'll see that it kind of sort of curdles slightly because you've got that vinegar in there. That's nothing to worry about. When we get the flour in, which we'll do next, brings it all together again. So it'd be so much easier if you've got a machine going. Just add in all your ingredients. I'm doing it the old school way today. There we go. Get the flour. And then the aquafaba as well. So you'll see how nice and frothy and thick that is, just like a few egg whites that you'd pop in here. And then in with the flour. So I'm using self-raising flour. It works just with plain flour as well. We've got lots of raising agents already with the vinegar and the reaction with the baking powder, which is going to go in, and of course that magic aquafaba chickpea juice. So 1 1/4 cups of flour, and that's about 300 grams of flour, tablespoon baking powder, and we just combine that into a nice batter. Nice smooth batter. I've got my oven on 180 degrees. Working on the dining room table today. My kitchen's a bit small to have a sort of camera set up, so that's why I'm doing that. 180 degrees. And then this will go in for about 30-35 minutes, just until you get a nice golden rise, and so that when you stick in a sharp knife or a skewer, it comes out with no residue on there. So there we go, a nice batter. I've got a couple of cake tins here, and I just line them with some baking parchment, and then a little greasing as well of the vegan butter. You can give them a little dust of flour as well, just help it to not stick. And then we're going to divide this batter between the two trays. And then pop it in the oven, like I said, 30 to 35 minutes. However, I'm not going to wait 30 minutes. I've already got some I made earlier. So when they come out of the oven, let them cool, and then get them out of the tins onto a rack like this, so they can cool from all sides. And then I've put one of the sides on a plate. And you can see it's got a nice rise, it's nice and light, nice and golden. And I'm going to make a buttercream to go with this. So again, I've got some vegan butter in there. I've got, again, about 8 tablespoons. And I'm just going to beat this slightly. I'm going to add some vanilla extract again, about a teaspoon. And then again, sugar, but I'm going to use icing sugar this time. And I'm just going to slowly add it to this butter while I keep churning it. You could use some other sweeteners as well, maple syrup, if you want to make a slightly healthier one. It does contain sugar as well, obviously, but it's got a bit of a lower glycemic index than the regular sugar, so better for you if you're diabetic or suffering from anything else where you need to reduce your sugar intake. So I'm going to add about a cup of icing sugar in total, or a couple of cups. We'll see how it goes. So much better, like I said, with a whisking machine. But just going to persevere here. And we're going to add a touch of milk as well. Again, the almond milk. Other milks are available, particularly fond of oat milk. I think it's got a lovely, naturally sweet taste to it. Really nice in coffee and tea. And you can get lots of different barista milks these days, which are specifically designed for coffee so they don't split. Like soy milk tends to split quite often. So I'm just going to beat this together. You can, of course, make your own milks. Super easy to do. Get oats or almonds and you soak them, and then you just blitz them together with some milk, touch of salt, and something sweet, like a teaspoon of maple syrup or something. And then you just strain that through some muslin or a nut bag, and you've got a lovely milk that doesn't last as long as the shop bought ones, but you know, you've made a nice fresh product from scratch. Right, so you can see this is nice and thick now. Just going to add a bit more sugar. And then I can start spreading that on the cake along with some jam. So I made my own jam today. Really easy to do. Just some strawberries, which are in season and everywhere now, so super cheap and easy to get hold of. Boil some strawberries in a saucepan with a little bit of maple syrup or a touch of sugar. And I put a little bit of corn flour in mine to help it thicken up. And you just bring that to the boil. And then let it rest, and it will just thicken up naturally, and it will last probably a week in the fridge. And much better than shop bought ones. You know exactly what's gone into it, and it's got no bulkers or preservatives or anything. So nearly there with the buttercream. You can see that. I made this the other day and my partner couldn't tell that it was vegan at all. She couldn't tell the difference. So definitely doesn't lack in flavour. It's like super creamy, super buttery. Just give that a little taste. I mean, that is delicious. Super sweet, obviously. And you can't tell the difference between that and a regular buttercream, I don't think. So we'll get our cake. Spatula. I'm just going to thickly spread this over. This is when you want to get the kettle on. Get ready for the cake. So nice thick layer. All these recipes are available on our website. And like I said, it's part of a vegan baking guide that we brought out end of last year. It's got loads of ideas. Lemon meringue, another thing you can make with the chickpea juice, the aquafaba. And lots of different bakes, cookies and desserts, biscuits, all with no egg and no dairy products. So if you perhaps might be watching this and you work in a care home, we do lots of work with care home chefs trying to improve the menu for vegetarian and vegan residents. And it's just a really good thing to do. Like some people think, oh, we haven't got any vegetarian or vegan residents, but you certainly will do in the future. So it's a really good way of future-proofing. And there we go. Nice layer of that. And then got my homemade jam. I'm just gonna put on top of that. Look at that, it's lovely and red. And again, if you're making it yourself, you can control the amount of sugar. There's already a lot of sugar going into this cake, so the jam is reasonably healthy. Don't have to be too neat with this. Just get it all. It looks amazing already. There we go. And then I've got my other half here. Just pop that on top, get a nice sandwich. And I'll give it a little dusting. Of icing sugar. Look at that. And then all you need to do now is decorate it. So I've just got some fresh strawberries left over here. Could cut them at the bottom, stick them all over like that. It's a particularly good look. I'm just going to add a few to the top here, maybe 3. Always looks better in odd numbers, 3 or 5. And there we go. We got our vegan Victoria sponge. And you can, of course, adapt this cake. So use the sponge recipe, and perhaps add in some lemon into the buttercream and make a lemon, and then a lemon drizzle over the top. So I'm just going to cut into this. We'll have a look. Wow, all that jam buttercream is oozing out. Grab a plate. Have a little plate here. Lovely slice. Look at that. There we go. Beautiful. Just need a cup of tea or coffee to go with that. And then sorted. 11sies sorted. So I've got some chickpeas left over. The theme for this session was going to be sort of a British tea time, so cakes, sandwiches. So I'm just going to show you one of my favourite vegan sandwich fillings. And use some of those leftover chickpeas as well. So this is what I call a chickpea tuna sarni. So it's like a vegan take on a tuna mayonnaise, I guess. And I've just used a can of chickpeas, so 400 grams chickpeas. And I'm going to add in a bit of seasoning, salt and pepper. And then teaspoon Dijon mustard, teaspoon of capers. So these might be ingredients you might have already in your house, or if not, you can leave out some of the ingredients or supplement them for other things. I'm gonna put in some tahini here, which is a really good source of protein and nutrients for vegans. It's made from crushed sesame seeds, so it's really packed full of amino acids and protein. It's in hummus. It forms the majority of the bulk of hummus, along with chickpeas and garlic and lemon. And it's a really useful store-cupboard thing to have. And some apple cider vinegar, so a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. It's going to add a little bit of acidity in there. And then grab my chopping board. And I've got a spring onion. Got my bread, just a couple of pieces of sourdough, but just use any sandwich loaf you've got. I'm just going to roughly chop this spring onion. Into the mix. And then I'm going to go and grab some vegan mayo from the fridge that I made. But you can find so many on the shelves at the supermarket these days. All the big brands are doing it. I mean, I guess they realise they can make money from it. So all your Hellmann's, all those brands are making a vegan mayo. So I'm just going to go and grab mine. got just a couple of tablespoons of the mayo. And then I'm just going to give this a little crush. You can check it for seasoning if you like it a bit more salty. Chuck in some more salt. And there you go, you've got like a sort of tuna mayo. And with all those different flavours, I think it's a really good substitute. Grab some bread, and then really nice with a few slices of cucumber. And perhaps a couple of slices of tomato as well. So we've got loads of different sandwich ideas on our website, like a vegan pesto and vegan mozzarella sandwich, a banh mi sandwich, so that's like a spicy one with tofu. And one of my favorites, vegan smoked salmon using carrot, which is super good. It's got so much flavour in there. There we go. Lunch is sorted. So there's my cake, and there's my sarni. So thanks very much for joining today. If you've got any questions, you can pop them up now, or also get in touch. Thanks very much to the Royal Voluntary Service for putting this on. If you want any more information, go on our website. It's vegetarianforlife.org.uk. I think it's coming up on the screen now. But thanks very much for joining, and I hope you enjoy making some awesome vegan food. So see you soon. Bye-bye.